Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News here on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Agumofwegwe, reminding our viewers that we are on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. President Bola Tinubu has departed Lagos for Europe as part of his end-of-year break ahead of his official visit to Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. In a statement issued by the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the week-long event brings together leaders from government, business, and civil society to advance global conversations on sustainable development. The President is scheduled to participate in the 2026 edition of the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week Summit following an invitation from the President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The summit is expected to hold in early January and will focus on connecting innovation, finance, and people to drive sustainable growth. And back home, the federal government, through the Office of the National Security Advisor, has graduated over 7,000 newly recruited forest guards from 7 frontline states to strengthen security and protect Nigeria's forests from criminal exploitation. The development followed successful completion of a 3-month intensive training program under the Presidential Forest Guards Initiative launched by President Bola Tinubu in May this year. The development was contained in a statement by Rabiu Ibrahim, Special Assistant on Media to Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. According to the statement shared on the ministry's X handle, the program was designed to strengthen Nigeria's internal security architecture by denying terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, and other criminals sanctuary within forested and hard-to-reach terrains. In another development, Kwara State's Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak has warned that terrorists and kidnappers operating in the state must leave immediately or face destruction, saying the government is deploying all available resources to protect residents. This is as the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu said the federal government is determined to reclaim territories overtaken by criminal elements, assuring Nigerians that terrorism would be defeated. Ribadu, in a statement announcing the graduation of over 7,000 forest guards, said the new personnel would support other security agencies, gather intelligence, and help protect communities vulnerable to attacks. And still talking security, Kebbi State has bolstered its security framework with the graduation of 819 National Forest Guards trained to protect forest reserves and curb criminal activities. The guards completed an intensive 9-week training program in Kago local government area focusing on early warning systems, patrol operations, ambush tactics, and handling of AK-47 rifles. The training was jointly supervised by the Department of State Services, DSS, the Nigerian Police Force, and the military, reflecting a coordinated security effort. And now time to turn to other stories for you. Workers in the National Assembly under the umbrella of Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASAN National Assembly Chapter, have demanded strict compliance with the federal character principle in appointments into the directorates, cadre, and the institution. PASAN made the demand in a letter addressed to the chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission. In the letter signed by their chairman, Sabi Sunday, the workers urged the National Assembly Service Commission to draw inspiration from President Bola Tinubu's recent reversal of the controversial elevation of his aide-de-camp to Brigadier General. PASAN noted the President's decision underscores the supremacy of due process and the principle that no public official is above the law. 74 candidates of the People's Democratic Party in the forthcoming Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections are facing possible disqualification following unresolved leadership crisis within the party. This comes as the Labour Party has been completely shut out of the polls, having presented no candidates on the final list released by the Independent National Electoral Commission on September 22, 2025. With the area council election scheduled for February 21, 2026, INEC documents show that out of the 16 registered political parties, only the Labour Party currently has no candidate cleared for the exercise. The youth wing of the Action Democratic Congress ADC has issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government to suspend the enforcement of the 2025 tax acts. Addressing a news conference in Kano State, the group warned that failure to do so will result in a nationwide taxpayer strike. Correspondent Idris Jibrin now reports.
The Action Democratic Congress Youth Wing says the recent presidential assent to the 2025 tax bills amounts to what it described as a systematic dismantling of the social contract between the government and citizens. Hence, the call on federal government to immediately halt the enforcement of the tax laws within the next 7 days.
Nigeria stands at a volatile crossroad. Following the presidential assent to the 2025 tax bill, the nation has witnessed a systematic what was presented as reform has been exposed as the regime of fiscal extraction. The current administration under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has introduced a tax framework that ignores the economic reality of 70% of the population. The youth wing of the African Democratic Congress ADC hereby issue a final ultimatum to the presidency. The government has 7 days until the close of business on Saturday, February 3rd, 2026, to take the following corrective actions.
The group warned that unless the government withdraws the disputed tax provisions, removes what it described as a 20% ransom clause, and abolish paramilitary powers granted to tax collectors, it will mobilize Nigerian youth for a nationwide occupation of fiscal and revenue-generating institutions. He noted that the youth wing had earlier staged a protest at the National Assembly where it submitted what it termed a dossier of grievances over alleged legislative forgery and fiscal operation, but claimed no action was taken, insisting that their actions are aimed at protecting citizens from policies it believes could worsen economic hardship. Meanwhile, many Nigerians express hope that any tax reform introduced by the federal government will prioritize economic growth and social justice and the overall well-being of the country's teeming population. From Kano, Idris Jibrin, Global Television News.
Thank you so very much, Idris. In the meantime, a former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, is set to formally join the African Democratic Congress amid ongoing consultations ahead of the 2027 general elections. A principal official of the party in Abuja said Obi had concluded plans to join the party and hold a declaration rally in Enugu, the political capital of the Southeast, on December 31. According to the official, Obi's supporters and loyalists have begun arrangements for the defection. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has rejected claims that he has pulled out of the 2027 presidential contest, calling the reports false and misleading. Atiku, who was the People's Democratic Party candidate in the 2023 election, was said in some reports to have stepped aside for Peter Obi, the Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate. The story also claimed that Atiku supported a one-term presidency for Obi in the interest of regional balance. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has taken a swipe at politicians who recently defected to the All Progressives Congress APC, accusing them of showing loyalty to President Bola Tinubu only after the elections were won. Speaking at a Thanksgiving service hosted by the chairman of the South-South Development Commission, Chibudom Onwuche, and his family in Ochiba community, Ahoda East local government area of Rivers State, Wike noted that those who now chant support slogans were nowhere to be found during critical moments. The former Rivers State governor also declared that political activities in Rivers State would formally resume in January 2026. He condemned residents of Ahoda East. He commended residents of Ahoda East and West for their steadfast support for President Tinubu, noting that their commitment played a key role in the president's victory in the 2023 general election. Let's turn to Lagos State now, where the caucus of the All Progressive Congress APC in the United Kingdom has called on Nigerians to support President Bola Tinubu's administration and ensure his victory for a second term. In a statement, the caucus made the call at its end-of-year dinner held in Bromley, London. In his address, the chairman of the caucus, Tayo Shodende, reiterated the chapter's pride in the renewed hope agenda of the president. He lauded what he described as the developmental progress being recorded under Lagos State's Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, which he said was second to none. Borno Senator Ali Ndume has urged Nigerians not to allow religion become a source of division. Ndume made the charge during a Christmas luncheon organized for Christian internally displaced persons, IDPs, at the Christian Association of Nigeria Center in Wulari Ward, Maiduguri, Borno State. He stressed that both Islam and Christianity preach kindness, patience, and mercy, and to peace across the nation. This is Global Television. You're watching the live broadcast of the AM News. When the rest of the news returns shortly, Somalia demands Israel withdraw Somaliland's recognition. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories for you on the other side of this break. Please do stay with us. The second part of this news broadcast now returns with business, where the Federal Ministry of Power has been indicted by the Auditor General of the Federation for financial irregularities and breaches of public finance rules. Findings in the Auditor General's 2022 Annual Report on Non-Compliance, Volume 2, revealed multiple infractions at the ministry, ranging from unaccounted funds and procurement violations to unauthorized expenditures. According to the report, irregularities traced to the ministry's 2021 financial operations amounted to 100.37 billion naira, raising fresh concerns over internal controls and fiscal discipline within the power sector. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, has disclosed in the latest data posted on its website that the Port Harcourt Refining Company, which is currently shut down, is still supplying 349,000 liters of automotive gas oil, otherwise known as diesel, daily. The regulatory authority cites the refinery, which the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited shut down on May 24, 2025, while still having diesel evacuated into the market daily as of November, while stressing that there are no production activities at the refinery due to its current shutdown mode. The regulatory agency disclosed that the diesel produced before it was shut down was still being evacuated as of November. The shipping branch of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria has frowned at what it described as the continuous casualization of workers by employers of labor within the maritime sector. This was disclosed in a statement by the head of media of the union, John Ikemefuna, stating that the shipping branch president of the union, Olufemi Abbas, described the current labor practices in the shipping sector as a slave-driven ideology that prioritizes corporate profits over human dignity. Abbas also said many employers are now bypassing labor regulations by outsourcing core duties to third-party contractors. He emphasized that these contractors offer peanuts to workers, effectively institutionalizing casual labor under a different name. Let's take the news to the foreign scene, where the Central African Republic is holding the presidential election, with incumbent Faustin Archange Touadera projected to secure another term in the conflict-ridden country. Polling stations opened and will close at evening, with 2.23 million voters expected to elect their presidents, legislators, as well as municipal and regional representatives. Touadera, who has been in office since 2016, is likely to win the first round of voting. However, if no candidate receives more than 50% of the votes, a runoff election will be held. The United Kingdom has imposed visa restrictions on the Democratic Republic of Congo, accusing its government of failing to cooperate with its new policy on the return of undocumented migrants and those who commit criminal offences. The United Kingdom Home Office announced the measures in a statement, adding that Angola and Namibia have agreed to step up efforts to take back their citizens. The agreements mark the first major change and the sweeping reforms unveiled by Secretary of the State for Home Department Shabana Mahmood last month to make refugee status temporary and speed up the deportation of those who arrive without documents in the UK. However, there is no immediate comment from the DRC, Angola, and Namibia. Somalia has demanded Israel reverts its recognition of the breakaway region of Somaliland, condemning the move as an act of aggression that will never be tolerated. Ali Umar, Somalia's State Minister for Foreign Affairs, said the government would pursue all available diplomatic means to challenge what it called an act of state aggression and Israeli interference in the country's internal affairs. The sharp rebuke came a day after Israel became the first nation in the world to formally recognize Somaliland, triggering swift condemnation across African and Arab nations and raising concerns about whether the move was part of an alleged Israeli plan to forcibly displace Palestinians. Let's go find some excitement in the world of sports now. The Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, has clarified that it has not yet received a response from FIFA regarding its challenge to the eligibility of certain players from the Democratic Republic of Congo who participated in the 2026 World Cup African playoff against the Super Eagles some weeks ago. The statement comes in response to media claims that FIFA had dismissed Nigeria's appeal following the Super Eagles' defeat to DR Congo in the playoff final. Nigeria Football Federation, however, categorically stated that the situation is still under consideration. The Director General of the National Institute for Sports, Philip Shaibu, has unveiled plans to reposition the institute as a world-class center for sports development through a strategic partnership with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The initiative, driven through the Petroleum to People Development Framework, aims to revive the institute's infrastructure, expand athletes' development programs, and strengthen Nigeria's sports ecosystem. Under the partnership, the NIS will undergo wide-ranging reforms covering infrastructure development, modern training facilities, sports science education, and talent identification across the country's 6 geopolitical zones. Nigeria has secured a hard-fought 3-2 victory over Tunisia in an entertaining Africa Cup of Nations encounter, keeping the Super Eagles firmly on course in the tournament. The match lived up to expectations as both sides traded attacks, with Nigeria taking the lead early before Tunisia responded with intensity. The Super Eagles showed resilience and composure, converting key chances while maintaining defensive discipline under pressure. Tunisia fought back strongly, reducing the deficit and testing Nigeria's backline in the closing stages, but the Super Eagles held on to secure maximum points. The victory boosts Nigeria's confidence as attention now turns to the next group fixture, where the team will aim to build on the current momentum. And that's all on the AM News on Global Television for you. A quick reminder that we are on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We encourage you to kindly interact and engage with us across social media platforms using Global TV NG, as well as other handles as you now see on your screen. I am Uyi Agmofwebe, saying a big thank you to you for watching. Starting shortly is Global Morning.